Finally, we provide emotional grounding. One of the concepts that happens in a lease negotiation is they tend to be long and drawn out, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I've spent more than a year negotiating a deal, and what happens is my clients get tired of it. They just don't want to do it anymore. And when they get tired, they either walk away when they shouldn't, or they make concessions when they shouldn't. And so we recognize when those signs of deal fatigue are coming up, and we try and talk our guys through it. Try to help them understand, listen, the landlord's just trying to drag this out because they sense this is coming. Let's stay with the plan. We've got a goal. Let's just work towards this. And we sort of give you guys, just again, like I say, an emotional grounding. Also, we're able to play good cop, bad cop. Some of my clients are very nice guys, and they can't play good cop or bad cop. They're not capable. It's just not in their mentality. And for those guys, I'll be the bad cop. Some of my clients are the other way. They're not as good at playing good cop as they should be. And so I try and play good cop, and I allow them to grunt, to grouch and bitch and moan at the landlord. The idea is we're there to sort of help you work through the process. And the parts of the process, this is the part of the process that doesn't show up in writing anywhere, but we think it creates real value. Finally, we keep everyone on target. People take vacations, people go out of town, people get other projects, people get sick. You think you're waiting for the attorney to do something, he thinks he's waiting for you to do something. As part of facilitating the process, we make sure that every part of the project is going the way it's supposed to be going, that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, and then sometimes that means we have to give our clients homework assignments, but that's part of the process. Finally, what are the benefits of hiring a broker? First, creative solutions. There's always things that come up in a lease negotiation that we don't know how to handle. So we'll be working with a client, and the client will be an architect. Well, for those of you who know much about the architecture business, it's a very big accordion type practice. When things are really good, they hire a bunch of architects. When things are really bad, they tend to fire a bunch of architects. So for those guys, we might create a solution where we find a building that's got space contiguous that we can move into, and we negotiate terms that allow us to do that. And we'll create a space to help the architect design a space in such a way that there's a cost-efficient, sensible way to downsize by a 30%, give the space back to the landlord, and still have a cohesive unit that's got a conference room and a break room and the right number of offices, and what we're doing is shrinking the bullpen. We understand those things, and we can help the architects work to create a space that meets those requirements. And every business has these requirements for creative solutions. Every negotiation benefits if you can come up with those solutions. We just did a deal with a client. The landlord said, hey, I don't really like your financials, and I want you to give me a personal guarantee on the lease. And we said, well, Mr. Landlord, we're spending $1.50 a foot in new carpet, new paint, and a couple bucks in commissions, and you want us to guarantee effectively $100 a foot in rent obligations. It doesn't make any sense. And so we were able to negotiate with the landlord that we'd pay a little larger security deposit, but after 12 months we get the security deposit back. It's a small example, but it brings up the point that having done this for 20 years, we haven't seen it all, but we've seen a lot, and we can help you come up with solutions to your problems. Next, we understand the other side's point of view. We talked about understanding the other point of view, how valuable that was for you in the point of captive tenant syndrome. Well, understanding those kinds of things can really help us unlock the value of a deal. Let me give you an example. If I know that the other side is a building that's likely to go into foreclosure, and by the way, lots of buildings go into foreclosure. It doesn't mean the landlord's a bad landlord. It's just a situation we're in the times. And I know that landlord doesn't have a lot of money for TIs, and I know that my tenant does. Maybe I say to the tenant, why don't you do the TIs and we'll get you a bunch of free rent. Well, now the landlord's getting basically free occupancy into his space, and he's going to bend over in the rental rate. And because I have an advanced math skills, I'm able to figure out where that break-even ratio is and structure the deal so it's more attractive. So again, if the situation is different, if I know that the landlord is trying to sell his building, then I know he's going to want to front-load the deal with free rent so he can have a high rental rate on the back end, because those high rental rates are what landlords use to evaluate the value of the building when they sell. So when I understand the other side's point of view and what they're trying to achieve, I can then come up with creative solutions that are going to help you unlock the value of your deal. The next thing is we help to create leverage, both in renewals and new leases. When you have a broker, someone who's been around, someone who the other brokerage community and landlords know, those people will then realize you're probably seeing multiple buildings. You're probably being educated in the market. You're not a rube who's new to town, and they're going to be more realistic in their negotiations. They're likely to know that your broker knows where other deals are being made, and so it's going to create leverage in you and leverage for you as part of the negotiations. Fear. One of the things having a broker does is it creates fear. The other side, not because I'm a big guy, but because the other side knows if they don't get down to brass tacks, I'm just going to take you to a new building. And they don't want to run the risk of losing you, and so again, they're more likely to come to the terms you want. Credibility. This is going to surprise you guys, but if you guys have spent much time and you've tried to call brokers, you probably recognize that they don't call you back as often as you'd like. You know, you're calling off a sign and you can't get the broker to return your call. Brokers are busy, they don't want to waste time, and all too often people call off those sign calls, deals don't materialize, and so those things kind of get swept under the trash. The brokerage community knows that if I'm working with a client, or one of my brokers is working with a client, we've vetted you. We have a sense that you're a real deal, that you're not running us around for no reason. And the brokers know that if I'm investing time in you, that it's likely there's a real deal there and they're more likely to invest time. And they know that it's more likely there's going to be a deal made, and so they're going to roll up their sleeves and spend more time. Objectivity. This is one of the hard parts of our business. Sometimes my clients read the paper and they think they should get a building at $12 a foot. If I've done my job and educated them and I've explained everything to them, hopefully by the time we get to the point where they're ready to walk away from a deal that they should do, I will have earned the credibility and the trust to be able to objectively say to my client, you're wrong. The landlord's right, this is a good deal, here's all the reasons why it's a good deal, and you should do it. By the same token, sometimes I'll say to the client, look, I know you love this building, I know it's close to home, I know that it's got great views, this thing's $3 a foot more than it should be, and I don't think you should do the deal. But either way, I've got the objectivity to say, this is what's going on with the marketplace, and hopefully I can educate you about that. The last one, and this is more important than you'd think, is I have established relationships with lots of landlords and with all of the brokers. They know me. And I can have a back channel conversation with them over a beer on a Friday night and do what it takes to get a deal done, or save you time. I'm working with a deal right now, we're looking at 3 buildings. One of the brokers calls me, we have a 15-minute conversation about where my guy wants to be, about where the landlord wants to be. We recognize the landlord's not going to budge, I'm not going to let my guy budge, and so we called my client and said, we're not going to do the deal. It's not going to happen, let's not waste time with it. Well, that's an example of how I can save you some time and energy, because I was able to have a conversation with a broker, and we were able to man-to-man figure out exactly what needed to happen, because we have those relationships that you can't have, because the broker hasn't worked with you for 20 years and hasn't learned to trust you, you're not as likely to benefit from the ability to have conversations with the brokerage community. Finally, the benefit of hiring us is reports and analysis. I can give you the CoStar information. One of the things that always drives me crazy, and I think drives you guys crazy when you go to buy a car, is, did I get a good deal? And it's hard to tell, right? You never know. You always feel like you got outsmarted. We can give you the reports and analysis to allow you to say at the end of the day, I really feel like I got the best possible deal I could. And that's one of the biggest benefits of having us involved. Finally, time is money. All of those things that I talked about, all of the benefits, all of the characteristics, don't take any of your time. They all take my time. You guys are able to spend most of your time on your core business. Not many of you can make more money doing real estate deals than you can make being architects or lawyers or dentists or chiropractors or selling insurance or whatever your core business is. So having a guy like me involved means you can go and spend your time doing the things that you're good at and spend a little bit of time managing this process. And because time is money, we think that's a real benefit to you. Final thing is, hiring a broker doesn't cost you anything. Just like when you buy a house, seller's agent signs a listing, and from that point forward, a broker's going to get paid on the deal. Whether you have an agent when you come to buy that house or not is irrelevant. If you don't have an agent when you go to buy that house, the landlord's broker makes twice as big a fee as if he has to share it with your agent. So why not have an agent? It's exactly the same as you. Same for commercial real estate transactions. So the commission's going to be paid whether you have a broker or not, so why wouldn't you hire one?